yet again, my time management skills leave us in the position where I am racing the sun. Let's go. Hello, my lovely friends. It's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are doing once again the thing where I figure out whether or not I have failed miserably at my TBR game. So if you're interested in books or like seeing people suffer the consequences of their actions, go ahead and stick around. Real quick before we get into the check-in and my TBR and all of that good stuff, there are a couple of things that you need to know. First off, I finally have a questing crew for Magdalene. If you are interested in like their full backstories and me and my brother talking through what's going on, you can go ahead and check out the video that I will have linked actually up here. It'll be up here because that's the right side. But I'll just run through the 7 people that we have just to give you a real quick like who they are, what their part of the party is. We have Umethil Greyfoot. They are a dwarf thief and they're the one that is looking for their aunt. We also have a human mage, Catternan Greycastle. We have an elf healer, Ilrune, can't read my handwriting. His name is Ilrune Dornwood, as well as a half-elf fighter, Ariawin Windstar. We have Siobhan Windclearer. She is a human druid. We also have Leet. He is a changeling thief. And then we have Reuven Yendorn. They are an elf, and they are kind of sort of a chosen one. So we've got 2 chosen ones in the group. That'll be interesting to see how that works out. The other thing I want to let you guys know about is the Skodan Readathon. I am going to be participating in this in November this month. That's what's going on. It's a readathon created by Kim over at Native Lady Book Warrior, and it is focused on reading Indigenous literature. Now, you should be reading Indigenous lit all year long, but I like to support some of the readathons and other things that happen in November by reading Indigenous lit. And this year, I'm going to try and get the bottom row of the bingo. I'm going to try and fill out as much as possible, obviously, because I need, but my main goal is to get the bottom row of this bingo board. So that means that I am going to be reading Sisters of the Nethersea by Cynthia Lettich Smith for my middle grade pick. I am going to be reading Winter Counts by David Heska Wombley Wyden for the SGJ Rendon Wyden prompt, and then I'm going to be reading Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer for the nonfiction prompt. Braiding Sweetgrass is actually the nonfiction pick for the Curious Minds Book Club November-December round, and then we are also going to be reading The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson. I'm going to try and get all 3 of those books onto my Fablen TBR, but if I don't, that's what I am reading for the Skodan Readathon. Alright, so let's get into it. If you've been here before, you can go ahead and skip to the timestamp on the screen. That's when I'll start doing the TBR check-in. But for those of you that are new to the channel, Fablen is my role-playing TBR game where I created a character. That character means that I need to fit certain parameters for my TBR, and I need to go on quests to fulfill those parameters. So every month I draw a certain number of quests, in this case 8 because I am a scholar, and I am supposed to pick books for all of those quests, and if I don't read the book for that quest, or I don't read a book that is equivalent to that quest, because I can switch things out now, I have to face consequences. I have yet to have a consequence-free month. And I just have to resign myself to that. I have to accept that it's just who I am as a person. I like TBRs, but I'm not going to be able to do it. The idea of what I can read is way bigger than what I actually am able to read. That said, let's get into what's been up with Magdalene. So in October, Magdalene and her questing crew actually accepted a quest from a dragon who is currently in the area, has been there for a few years. The alchemist supposedly has stolen the dragon's egg. She is trying to get it back, and Magdalene's questing crew did volunteer, since they already have kind of an established relationship with the alchemist, thinking they'd be able to waltz in, get some information, everything would be good. And then the alchemist didn't have any jobs for it. They're having to find a different way to get this information that they need, because if they do that, the dragon is also going to help them out in finding out what happened to Umethil's aunt. Not to be perturbed by the alchemist literally shutting the door in their face, Magdalene and her crew head down to the local tavern, because what better place to get information on someone than from some tavern gossip? So they get to the tavern, and they do the natural thing when you are a questing party in search of information. They start looking around for interesting characters. Siobhan and Leet head over to the barkeep to see if there's any information that he might have. However, by far the most interesting person in this tavern is a wealthy artist who is entertaining a large crowd at his table with his stories of the various people who have commissioned paintings from him. If you think anyone else in this story is getting a name, that's Not going to happen. So they buy some drinks. The majority of the party kind of sidles up to this table. He is, it so happens, looking for a questing party to escort him to the king's castle. And of course, because the easiest thing on my TBR to read is the one thing that I didn't pick up, this is where we come to our first consequence. So the way consequences work, if I roll 5 or lower, then I have to do whatever the consequence is for the quest. If I get 6 or higher, I get away scot-free. There are no consequences for me. The consequences for this one is I can't start another quest until I have finished this current quest. So let's go ahead and see what happens there. That is a 15. Now, before they leave Farwater, he does have them deliver a painting and a message to one of his most recent patrons, and then they are off and through the mountains and to the king's castle. It is a thankfully uneventful trip. No bandits this time. They arrive at the king's castle all in one piece, and with all of their belongings intact this time. Now, as it turns out, the king also has need of some questers that can go on a secret mission for them. He has a very, very, top secret communication that needs to be sent, and he asks them if they might be interested. And now we come to our second consequence of the day. Of the video, I guess? I don't know when you're watching this. Okay, that's an 11. We're good. It's fine. Everything is great. Rolling well so far. That probably just jinxed it. The king is very familiar, actually, with Magdalene's questing crew. They have worked for him many times before. He and Catherine are old friends at this point, and so he does ask them to accept this quest for them, and while they do want to get to the bottom of Umethel's aunt, they are also questers, and their living is going on adventures for people who do not want to go on adventures. And, you know, food and lodging isn't cheap. And so they do accept the quest from the king, which is to deliver a top secret message to the gnome council. Now, the gnomes are known for being tinkerers and architects and having all sorts of different things. And Magdalene happens to remember that the architect of the alchemist's tower was a gnome. She mentions this to the party as they are waiting to personally deliver the king's message. And so while they are there, they happen to mention that they are looking for some information on some of this gnome architect's works. Unfortunately, the gnome herself is dead, but they do happen to have some of her schematics in their very extensive, large library where they keep, you know, all of their inventions and things in case they should be needed for a future date. And so our group finds themselves once again in Magdalene's favored territory. They are able to find the full plans for the alchemist's laboratory. As it turns out, the alchemist's laboratory has several levels down below ground. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean there is a dragon's egg there. There's some reconnaissance that might be needed. Having this information makes the party think that maybe, just maybe, a break-in is in order. They arrive in Farwater with a fully fleshed out plan that will involve quite a bit of entering and hopefully not a lot of breaking, and also does happen to necessitate a trip to the blacksmiths for some custom tools for Lead. And here we come to the final consequence. This is going to have a lot of, oh boy. Alright, consequence for the blacksmith is I have to roll with disadvantage on all consequence rolls for the books I choose for next month. Next month I have to roll. So let's see how this... It's a 14. The dice have been kind to me today, and I appreciate it. Those are all the books that I was supposed to read, some of which I did, some of which I did not. It's fine. This is how it goes. Now let's see what I need to read for next month. I don't have to do any extra quests this month, so we just need to pull 8. That is wonderful. Okay, a night at the Halfling Farm. Read a collection of short works. I can't spell poetry, but it's poetry, short stories, or essays. And if I fail this, I have to choose a book 50 pages longer than the unfinished book to fulfill a quest. Okay, so for this I am going to be putting in Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer. This is a collection of essays by the author. She is a botanist that specializes in like the science of indigenous practices. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. Everyone that I know, and like really, I have several people that I know and respect, have really enjoyed this book, so I'm very excited to be getting to it. Alright, prompt number 2. Taking a job from an old patron. Read an author that you have previously given 5 stars. Not sure how that fits into any of my reading plans this month. We're going to go with my most anticipated book, of 2021. I have been waiting for this since 2020, and it is The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. From what I understand, I don't know a lot about this. I just know I love the Witchland series, gave all of those 5 stars, and I've been waiting for. It started out as a Twitter thread that's where the anticipated started, where we were doing like that choose your own adventure type thing. We were doing it once again in anticipation of the release of this, and what I know about it is it's about Winnie. They're kind of like in this secret society, and she's going through some sort of initiation, and there is also a boy who is very frustrating, and she thinks she doesn't like, but she does. There's a whole bunch of stuff in it. I don't need to know any more than it's by Susan Dennard, and the ship dynamic. I'm so excited for this book. I cannot wait. Prompt number 3 is going to be this one, I guess. Discovering a Magic Sword. Read a highly anticipated book. If I fail this quest, I will have to choose a book 50 pages longer than my unfinished quest to fulfill a quest. Okay, this may change because there is a prompt here that would fit this better, and so I may change it, but I'm going to go with Winter Counts by David Hesco Wombley-Wyden. This book has been on multiple TBRs, and I am so excited to get to it because it's one of my friend Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letters, one of their favorite books. This follows Virgil Wounded Horse. The quality of the recommendation speaks for itself. So I am very excited to finally be getting to this one. This is the year we're doing it. This is the year that it is going to happen. So prompt number 4 is going to be, you know, it would help if I just escorting the wealthy artist, read a graphic novel. Can't start any new quests until the book is finished. I still have to read the book that I need. Well, you know what? Let's work smarter, not harder. We'll just get Crumbs by Dani Sterling back on the good old TBR. This is about a witch who bakes and a musician, and they fall in love. That's what I know, what I remember. If I remember correctly, yeah, it's a webtoon that's just about them falling for each other. So there you go. Prompt number 4. Encounter with a Barrow-Wright. Read the oldest book on a TBR. Can't start any new quests until it's finished. Okay. I'm gonna need a minute for this one. We're going to go with Heroes Adrift by Maura J. Moore. This is about 2 people. Do I remember their names? No, but I've been making my way through this series. They live in a world where the way the magic work is you have a source who is able to do the magic, and you have a shield who is able to shield a source from the consequences of like channeling the natural disaster forces that they end up channeling. And so we have it's Lee and Taro. And in the last one, some stuff happened that made me happy, and I'm very excited. I'm excited for where this is going to go. I love these 2. Lee is so much fun as a character, and then Taro is just, I love him so much. He's just such a wonderful character, and yes, I'm very excited. Like I have, I think, all but the last book in this series, and I've had it for years. Like I bought this, to tell you how old this is, I bought this when Borders was going out of business. That's how I got all of these books. We're going to pull this one. I just pulled 2, so I guess that's the next one. Your questing party must make a choice to choose your next read through a poll on social media. Let me go choose what the 2 books are going to be first. I will tell you about the books, and then we'll put the poll results up, and whichever one wins is the one that wins. So we have Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. This is a retelling of Kaikeyi's story with her as the protagonist. I believe she is one of the antagonists of the original mythology, and so this is kind of giving her a voice. Our other option is the first binding by R.R. Verdry. This is one of the ones that was on last month's TBR, and it got switched out because look at this. It is 817 pages, my friends. That is a chonker. I think I can get this as an audiobook from my library, so that's why this is on there. But this is about a main character. This is about Ari, and they have done some apparently terrible things with their magic, and it sounds like it's kind of like them telling their story and the different decisions that they made, and kind of, I guess, justifying it, explaining what happened. I don't want to entirely know. Basically, it's like the thing is, it's the story of how they let loose the first evil, is what the whatever the synopsis says. Okay, and then this is the one we dropped on the floor, which is Explore an Old Mind. Read a book that you added to your TBR over a year ago. Old Mind, and not Old Mind. Have to add 1 quest to my usual quest load if I don't complete it. Okay. Alright, I figure we'll put something fun in there. To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters. I got this last September. Michelle pulled it off of a shelf and was like, hey, you should read it. And it turned out to be book 2, so I had to go get book 1. Really enjoyed book 1, and so I'm really excited to get to this. This is about, I think it's Jeremy. It's Jeremy. There's so many J names in this series, but it is Jeremy and Diana. And then from his, it's some feedback from his latest mistress has him seeking Diana out. And they kind of enter in this mutually beneficial relationship where she's going to give him advice on lovemaking while he is going to make it possible for her to find someone to take on as a lover. Prompt number 7, second to last one. Okay. 61. A local has been murdered, and that is to read a thriller. If I fail this, I roll with disadvantage on all consequence rolls. Okay, hold on. Give me just a second. I need to consult my phone. We are actually on prompt 8. It's the last one because I forgot to write down 54, which is to do a highly anticipated read. Instead of reading Winter Counts for the prompt where I am reading a highly anticipated read, I'm going to be reading Leviathan Falls by James A. Corey. It's the last book in the Leviathan, the Expanse series. I've been putting this off forever, but I'm also really ready for it. So I'm just like, let's get this, let's do it, let's get this over with. And then I will be placing Winter Counts in place of reading a thriller. So there we go, it's all taken care of. So these are the books that I will be reading in the month of November, plus I think 2 more that I don't have physically just yet, but one of them is coming in the mail and one of them is coming from the library. So here we go. I'm very excited. This is a nice stack. Well, two of these I will have to make a decision on, and you already know what it is. If you're feeling chatty, let me know what you will be reading in the month of November down in the comments. If you are not feeling chatty, go ahead and leave me like a fall leaf emoji, since I guess it's fall finally in Florida, sort of. It's still 79 degrees. It's like, what even is fall, guys? I think there's like 3 brown leaves on the tree out my window. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you like books and like talking about them, check out the video right over there. I have some bookish thoughts. You might like them. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye! We have a warlock grandma, guys. Why is everyone and their mother walking their dog right now? So many people keep walking past my window. Oh well, I'm just gonna be the weird neighbor that talks to random things and tells stories.